They have to synchronize. The NID system is a different system, and the Electoral Commission is a different system. In order to achieve the principle of one vote, one person, one vote, these two systems need to be synchronized. Not only the system or technology, but the policies and the procedures and the legislation. So now my question, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Is the Electoral Commission working with NID to ensure that before we go to polls, or go to the polls in 2027, we will be using NID to vote? That's my first question. My second question, can the Prime Minister make a commitment to this House and to the people of PNG, Papua New Guinea, that we have to test the system that it is working before we go to the polls? So can he make a commitment that in one of the by-election, those people, in those citizens, in those electorate, will be able to use the principle of one person, one vote? That's my second question. And that's all. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Let me firstly appreciate your guide in the way standing order is read in respect to how committees are working on the floor of Parliament. And secondly, I appreciate the question raised by the good member for Wang Warrior. Vote is an important and sacred right for our people. It is incumbent upon us and our duty to pass on a better voting system to voters post-2022. That is why I committed to do this in this term of Parliament, as we all journey together right through in preparation for 2027, or if not, an election earlier that may happen from time to time that the good member did allude to. That commitment still stands. That is a task that is running. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you could have seen the executive government hesitated not to appoint a bipartisan parliamentary committee to have a, in the first instance, look at how we conducted 2022 national general elections. Also, in the terms of reference, they will have a hindsight look at how 2017 was conducted and 2012 was conducted, especially in the last 10 years, when those statistics and those guides are available to us, we can be better equipped with an independent recommendation from the parliamentary committee. But that does not mean the executive government is not working. We're working with Electoral Commission to ensure that we step up better earlier, and we prepare for 2027 so that by the time we arrive in 2027, the one person, one vote and the voting platform is a better platform for our people. Not to say that we have not carried well in our democracy thus far. Most, if not all parts of our country in the coastal provinces and many of the highlands provinces do have a vote that is conducted to the best of their ability within the environment and the resource envelope that facilitates those elections that we've held thus far. So we cannot downplay the results of our election in many parts of our country, but it is our responsibility, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as we go forward, combine our body of leaders here in this Parliament, the 11th Parliament, must study the inherent deficiencies we carry in the electoral process and to deliver to our citizens a better platform in 2027. And I am looking at, and the cost of election is quite huge. In fact, it's huge. You're looking at spending close to $1 billion kina. Security, logistics, and the electoral expenditures itself runs up to $1 billion kina. I think within that space, there should be an ability for us to look at capacity using ICT platforms, using modern security platforms to have and carry a better voting system and process and platform in 2027. A big step in that will be the ID system, whether it's card-based system or electronic ID. These are things that we will move into. And I just want to ask our citizens through this question and inform our citizens through this question. These are part of reform we are doing. So everyone has a right to vote come voting period. So the ID system will be something that will be tidy, whether just a card or electronic ID. We have examples in our part of the world, and if you go further into India, for instance, the biggest democracy, over 800 million people in one day do transact cast of their ballot, and electronically the algorithms add up to the winning result within 24 hours. Those technologies are within reach. For instance, our conversation with India High Commission here and the Indian government for assistance in regards to this area, not assistance in terms of money, but more importantly, the technical capacities. So this is a work in progress for us. I look forward to report back to our Parliament the progress from the executive government, but we are also working in tandem with the Parliamentary Committee. As you know, the Parliamentary Committee is taking a holistic outlook on funding of the elections, the system of the elections, and the platform in which the elections were delivered in 2022. We have no issue with allowing the independents to run that course. The recommendations will be embraced by the executive government, and we want to reform it better. But in response to the specific issue on NID, it's either going to be, his question on the ID system, it's either going to be an NID ID that is based on the NID sort of platform or an electronic ID system. This is something we are working. I have inclination towards electronic ID, but the study recommendations by a greater body of panel in consultation with the Electoral Commission should give us a basis to fund and invest in an ID-based voting that allows for our people to cast votes in the favor of leaders and a group of leaders of their choice. I give that commitment still stand. That work program is running. I want to give greatest assurance to our people. When it comes to this sort of reform, don't run speculations. There are certain members of our community who may think that we're government embarking upon 666 and all this sort of nonsense. The whole world is ID'd now. You go to all parts of planet Earth, you have ID to have your business registration. You have ID to get your license. You have ID to get your passport. And Papua New Guinea must have an ID system that links to work, live, school, but more importantly, in the area of voting, we want to arrive at one person, one vote in 2027, so that the sanctity of people's right to cast vote to the leaders of their choice is arrived at the polling stations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Bulolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Acting Speaker. Good morning to you too. Mr. Acting Speaker, my questions are directed to the Minister for Internal Security, with the Minister for Civil Aviation, Deputy Prime Minister and Prime Minister to take note, given the seriousness of this issue. Mr. Acting Speaker, yesterday, Papua New Guineans learned of a clandestine operation by the Australian Federal Police that busted an aircraft carrying nearly 15 million US dollars of 35 million kina worth of dangerous illicit drug or meth. And like many Papua New Guineans, I was shocked to learn that the pickup location for these drugs was in Bulolo. Since then, a lot of social media commentary has been made about the operation and the proliferation of dangerous drugs in our country. I, for one, am deeply concerned that my district of Bulolo was used as a drug distribution point, and I feel no doubt such illegal activities are happening throughout our country. Mr. Acting Speaker, For the benefit of some of our members who may have missed the news yesterday, let me recap some key points we've learned from media and the police reports relevant to Papua New Guinea. On Tuesday this week, a black flight piloted by 2 Australian men originating from North Queensland in Australia flew a twin-engine Beech light aircraft to a known airstrip in Bulolo district and picked up nearly 52 kilograms of meth. And let me note here that this airstrip is a privately owned airstrip. And if you want to go to a privately owned airstrip, you have to ask the permission to the operator or the owner on the facilities available on that airstrip or aerodrome before you go. For example, you want to refuel an aircraft. You have to find out what kind of aircraft fuel is there before you get the aircraft and go, how much fuel you need on that aircraft to go there, that kind of stuff, before you file a flight plan. A black flight simply means an aircraft that logs false flight plans and deliberately flies at undetectable altitude. While in Bulolo refueling, units with the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary, especially the Transnational Crime Unit, were aware of the black flight and were monitoring the pickup of these dangerous drugs. Upon landing back in Australia, Australian police intercepted the aircraft and arrested the offenders.
Honorable member, I might interrupt you. I know you are trying to give us the information on what is actually happening. Be mindful that we are on question time. Make that short and get to your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Acting Speaker. The question is just around the corner now. Firstly, I commend the Australian Federal Police and our police for working in collaboration on the investigation. It truly goes to show that there is some good happening within our country, our country's law enforcement agencies. Secondly, I commend our police especially for showing professionalism on this matter, as at any point the risk of a tip-off could have occurred at our end, jeopardizing the operation. But this investigation highlights broader issues that need greater attention by the government. Mr. Acting Speaker, I understand this investigation are ongoing and might cause the minister to be limited to his response, but my questions are as follows. Number one, PNG is now becoming a transit point and point of origin for cartels to smuggle illicit drugs. Are our law enforcement agencies, from our transnational crime units to our prosecutors, being adequately supported to combat these illegal activities? Number two, given that this is the second known black flight busted with large quantities of drugs in the last 3 years, have our police and civil aviation authorities ramped up efforts to protect our borders and airstrips from criminals? Number three, these men obviously had connections, associates, and resources on the ground in Bulolo and possibly Lae and Port Moresby, who helped them arrange for fuel and the drugs to be ready on site. Our police actively investigating these individuals, and can we assure arrests and prosecutions will be made? My good brothers from Wawaria and Minyama, you should take note on this. We are in the same area, so. Number four, as with the nature of these high-level drug syndicates, can our citizens be assured well-connected individuals through businesses or politics won't be given special treatment if found to be involved in this activity? And lastly, finally, Minister, can you please give an undertaking to ensure local police in Bulolo are given adequate resources to monitor our district in the event drugs and individuals connected to this syndicate are using my district to cover up their schemes, bringing the good name of Bulolo to a question? Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Internal Security.
Deputy Speaker, nami tok thank you long. Member belong wow Bulolo gutla askim belong em Bulolo. Pardon me, Deputy Speaker. Gutla member belong Bulolo. Me talk thank you nami just like also talk send this line me karamapi mimi or brothers bring me to lo wow. And the Greater Papua New Guinea. Me like to thank you straight firstly, Deputy Speaker, long all police man blue me usati work and long transnational crime. Na mi talk pisin because this la paper na news mi karama pim hall long Papua New Guinea na all man meri blue me long place or can harim good when em work you me long government work long work and it long government long Marape Rosso. This pla work long all drug man outside the country where only work lo karim drug come in the country blaming. But we call him all dangerous drug, only lo English, only call him all illicit drugs. Methamphetamine na cocaine. I'm all strong blood drugs threat. Before only been work lo karim kam na ibing got all investigation where we look him na identify him all person of interest where only be said bring him come inside but he got element long this la drug only work long manufacturing tete inside long country where you may walk long find him out na trace him or this la or locality. This pla flight where me come up Aste where me come long New South Wales he come long Bulolo lo good pla district blame lo Bulolo and one pla walk where me stop na me long Australian Federal Police na transnational desk blame me inside long PNG Royal Constabulary. Na me walk one time or local leaders too. But me come up long November 2022, where me play pick him up through long AFP, na team long play lo transnational desk, long this la movement. Na me play monitor him, na walk blo me play lo identify him too. This la all man where only walk long link one time. This la balus long Australia by cam or this la line by cam kisim. So me play allow him. This la walk lo come up long one pla me can talk sem walk where me pla no expose him me pla allow him this la process lo go through na time only hold him on this la illicit drugs lo hand long all inside lo balus and me pla use him opportunity both tamblo long Australia na to long Papua New Guinea big pla media coverage you me kisim where AFP na media long Australia, me cover him time only this la 5 la man only land na TV mi kisimo, television mi view him this la. You me too at the same time time only make him arrest tamblo long Australia. You me too be make him arrest here long Najab. So you me arrest him pinis all counterpart long all inside long country. Na me pla through long all intel blo you me walk long make him further arrest. So me give a comfort lo country. Thank you. Suppose you one pla long only walk long practicing this la inside lo country blow you me pla by behind him you me pla by putting you behind long karabus. Yes. So me give him comfort lo this la. Number 2 question. You me by identifying pinis long intel blow you got all hotspot airstrips around the country. And one pla talk me give him tasolo sem na give him comfort long people. Me pla walk close to one time civil aviation blow you me walk close to one time all customs borders blow me long Western Province Kamosem long Daru even all borders blow you me long Solomon Islands between Bougainville and Solomons. Me pla identify sample all hotspots na me pla walk strong one time all partners blow you me. Na me just give him comfort he go back long good la member alongside blow you me long Bulolo. This la same area na same by me talk the landing strip where this la druggy come out long em. And me associate back then one time this la young man where me been long 2 years ago and me been stopped long same incident. One time company blow this la young man. So me pla walk long make him intel na but me can come back long government na people blow me long country because I'm sensitive. He got plenty money me stop inside lo this la walk only walk long make him na me talk thank you lo government long 2022 me pass him strong law where me got teeth now long enforce him all this la man walk lo operate na only walk long solicit him this la illicit all drugs especially methamphetamine na cocaine inside the country blame. Last la ask him long good la member and whether by me give him big support long Bulolo. By me walking longer tahapo mi pla feel mi pla walk identify all hotspots. So this la me give him big pla belisi long leaders. I will be working with in collaboration one time you pla by you play got belisi or semi by collectively addressing this la. Now more than ever, because me reminding your leaders na Papua New Guinea too. No can think this la drag him no stop finish long Papua New Guinea. Me ask him long all papa mama. Banisim pikin ni blow you. Banisim pikin ni blow you. This la drag him stop finish inside long Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
We have a supplementary. Honourable Member for Welala.
Thank you, Speaker. Look, sir. Me like talk. Thank you, Osama. Good plan, Minister. Blowing me working plenty something. But me like talk, sir. Or me got some line of questions. But me ask him. This is not the first time, Mr. Speaker. Or something come up here on our source. It is the second time of a drug bust of such a magnitude. But the good question, Mr. Speaker, in such an activity, it is already on the radar of the intelligence community. All is somewhere finished. All is somewhere finished. There was already such an activity being planned and about to be orchestrated. Lohapside, Lohapalele, one play been put down, now it's the second. The question, good minister, why you already knew, because by demonstration, police only stop Bulolo finish na, only arrest him. Why police, both through cooperation, AFP, now PNG police, why do you have to wait until something come up shows Papua New Guinea, then instead of pushing the border and the criminals out of our borders? I know you can say that, though you let him until you kiss him man in action. But by your waiting until you catch him this aircraft at the one at Bulolo, you also tarnish him good name Papua New Guinea. So in all fairness, push the criminals and their agendas as much as possible out of our borders. So question, why do we have to wait? Number two question, since it is the second crime of such a nature, good Prime Minister, number two question, Law Department lo you, igat sampla big la look sawe, establish this drug enforcement. Because law me yet, there's a minimal or if not no assistance. Law Department lo you, equal drug enforcement. You me focus in attention. Lo me go sample sections na departments within your department. Now you may ignore him by default or by deliberate. Ignore him. This is a section where Emi Karim this lab no good name come lo country believe me. Mr. Good Internal Security Minister. Suppose from this day on, let us not have another drug transaction in Papua New Guinea shores. Karimigulo Nabla country. So ask him, Lomi, suppose, is there enough attention focused on drug enforcement? Number three, enough this extradition or extradition process. Blo Karimol criminal here go na problem prosecutimol. Larimoli prosecutimol here, whether you're black or white. The offense is committed here, they must be prosecuted under the laws of PNG and not extradited to some Arab foreign countries where the crime was not committed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Internal Security.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Mito, thank you. Lo good member long ask him long him. Triple big question I ask him. Why na you may lose him? This la transaction he come up na crime I commit innocent side law PNG me lose him go back to Australia. Good member and our leaders. You may allow him collaboration na melong AFP na PNG PNGC na this la walk him stop lo tupla side one time na all this la line you make him only no walk or some only one off only walk or some gang only walk I mean big pla only got big pla backup long all so whilst you may look lo try address him straight immediately long arrest him all line where only stop lo face off the transaction. You may very careful na mipla wanting to make sure that mipla no kiss him all immediately, but mipla look to long line walk long stop backside long all. And that's why it is in the interest of both parties that Mimi in the understanding of collaboration between the AFP and the RPNGC, the transaction, the transporters from Australia only come inside, only walk him, AFP kiss him, apprehend him all. Na this law line where only walk him inside law country below you me, walk lo give him all. You may apprehend him all too within our laws law here. Only got all line is the backside long all, and that is why, as we speak today to good member, you may arrest him all on the day it happened down in Australia, it happened here, you may arrest him all. And there'll be further arrests today too. So you may walk long practice him law below you may walk long enforce him law below you just because you may not walk long put him quickly inside long media and inside long paper, I mean no mean or same you may not walk long address him, our team is addressing it. Now you may understand him or same, this is not just a one-off. You got to line is that backside, so we're being very cautious long how you may manage him this plus space so we become effective in addressing it. Come back long, talk you me long narcotics. Yeah, there is a big vacuum within the Narcotics Bureau and also our narcotics desk and inside long transnational crime Blayumi. And with our good government, and I must thank again this government, the years of neglect in the Royal Constabulary has come to an end with this government. And there are funding support, including our development partners, only giving me big plus support long. You may long improve him this la transnational desk Blayumi. So also me talk, you may walk long looking plenty big plan intervention by come up. Na me like him comfort again, part of our reforms. You may ask him all development partners long supporting me one time capacity na one pla area below you me inside long narcotics will be in the next month but you may appoint him or announce him new pla director belong drug narcotics desk below you me. So you may walk long move with some government me just like give him belly silo this la. And as I said, if you ask me about the funding support, this government, and I thank this Mario Barroso government for putting money into police, and that will go towards enhancing the desk of transnational crime, and in particular, our narcotics space. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tuave.
Assistant Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to ask a question without notice to the good Minister for Works and Highways. Assistant Speaker, I firstly want to commend the Marape Rosso government for the Connect PNG program. We understand that without infrastructure, all our dreams and aspirations for development will merely be just a dream. So with that commitment also comes the challenge. And the good Minister for Works, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I thank you for also presenting to the House and the people of Papua New Guinea your report to demonstrate transparency in how you have been spending the largest chunk of the development budget. So thank you, through you, the Chair, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Minister. My only point here, Mr. Speaker, is a question regarding Simbu, from which Tuave is a district within Simbu Province. The Minister, in his report, advised the House that Phase 1 of the Connect PNG program from the northern to the southern corridor that runs from Madang through Gembok, through Kundiawa, through Gumini, through Salt Nomane Karamui, and then to Gulf, will start after 2027. Mr. Speaker, this raises a concern for myself as a member for Simbu, because Simbu needs roads. In terms of the 2022 provinces within the country, we have a very, very small internal revenue of 5 to 6 million kina per annum. We heavily depend on Waigani for our recurrent budget and for our development within the province. This road is critical to our development agenda within the province. And there's two very, very important reasons why I ask that the Minister for Works can advise the House and the people of Simbu and give us the reassurance that he will reconsider his prioritization of this north to south corridor and ensure that Simbu is captured from Gembog through Salt Nomane Karamui and then to Gulf. The reason being, these are the two reasons, Mr. Speaker. Firstly, in January, the Marape Rosso went to Simbu, went to Karamui, and announced the Karamui Special Economic Zone project. Secondly, in the name of equity, the most important highway in the country is the Highlands Highway. It's important for the House to take note that this Highlands Highway is also called the Okuk Highway. And this was initiated by one of Simbu's favorite sons and a legend in PNG politics, the late Yambake Oku. In the name of equity, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, I will interrupt and ask.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the name of equity, he didn't stop the Highlands Highway in Simbu. It went all the way up to Tari Gap to Enga. In the name of equity, please, Mr. Speaker, through you, if the Works Minister could give reassurance to the people of Simbu that yes, we will review the Southern Corridor and ensure that Simbu is captured for implementation now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Works and Highway.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Member Blong. Chuave, ask him good question. This road, Yambok, Nago, Sol Nomane, Karamui, go down Gulf. This road, we got this connect PNC plan and we got triple face. Country, na we spread him money to triple faces. This road, M1 good shortcut road to come down Gulf through Gundiwa come down Osem you talk Karamui. Karamui come Osem long Gulf. Karamui me play got this road. Ibini got underneath missing link me play identify this road as a missing link. Now time Marabe also government has been coming, he been giving some money long, making this road law. Karamui come long, Gundiawa, but law former member, this road has been come down on same law. Kamanta was a Daro, now me play walk slowly, coming up now. We like also remember long, Chuave, now also long, member long, Karamui no money. This plan have to Minister Blo trade na international trade and we go na he declare him this plan have to as a special economic zone too. So bilang asorin people lo have as a mipla will rearrange him. Na mipla I lo works he will bring him back. This plan program lo phase 2 come back and lo realign him this program lo government lo special economic zone and me gonna announce it, me play start lo plan lo rearrange him this roads. So time me play put the road through by this program lo government to come into play. So me like assure him member blong Tuawe lo raise him concern lo this road come down. Me play he work long and we are on to it. This plan government too, I mean no government lo commitment, I mean no government lo talk to sol. Time me put the program. And we put him up plan long all infrastructures to all of on. So road lo connect PNG And one blah long all now plus start plain law. This blah road come down law. Karamuina come down several Gulf. And one blah economic, socio-economic benefit people through all cacao where highlands in growing. Karamui growing. Now I'm simple I mean one blah big blah, good blah hub. Cap money long end so me play start play him na line him or roads na all the infrastructure long. Cap man to law this blah. Simple come down on same long. Karamuina, Mamane salt come down or some Gulf. So we will be working on it under the missing link. So me like Asorim member of them, yes, we are onto it. Your second question long Simbu Highlands Highway come. Ogata long. Ella, me talk finish lo ADB. After 3 years, I'm only finish lo eastern part. By only must move na extend him scope for Ogata Kopiago. Highlands Highway doesn't stop in Hagen or Kakamuga. It extends to Kopiago and also down to Gulf Southern Islands. Down to Gulf Southern Islands. So that one, we are working on it now. And I've written to ADB. They've promised to extend the scope. And the paperwork is underway. Ogug Highway, this block Ogug Highway. Simbu section, me like appeal na talking house now also. All leaders plus Simbu. Simbu, everyone the critical section. Always have a critical section before. Time road block, PMV stop on the Nabla side, you carry him cargo on the Nabla side. Now this plan is thing of the past. It will go under this leadership. Under the Maraberoso government. So, me like appeal long. Member of them, we are onto it. And we will fix this problem. Thank you. Also, while me all in tier 2, me like appeal na talk save long. Deputy Speaker to them. President Blilo Juming Bridge. Me talk a contractor finish to lo put him bam lo 2+ side. So time all speed go, but only reduces speed. All on the Nabla side or come on the Nabla side, only get run. So this plan is underway. Time is tabulate. So. This government is not talking, he's working. And Connect PNC is working. So I want them this plan. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lake Kopiago.
Acting Speaker, thank you, Lord. You give him time, Lord. People blow me, Lord. Koromana Lake Kopiago. I have a series of questions for Minister for Mining, and for which our good Prime Minister, Environment Minister, and the Minister for Health can take note. But before I do, because it's my first time to speak, I want to thank my people of Koroba and Lake Kopiago for giving me the opportunity to represent them in this house. It is with heavy heart. Before I ask the questions, I want to give some background to the questions I'm asking in relation to Strickland River pollution caused by program mining. It is with heavy heart that I bring to this honorable house the decades of ignored destruction on the environment, lives and livelihoods of my people of Strickland in the Lake Kopiago LRG for over 30 years. Since the program mining started operation. But these people do not or have not received any benefits from this mine up to today. And today we're talking about reopening the mine. But our people have been left behind all of these years. I believe there are districts and provinces in this country with similar stories like my people of Lake Kopiago, the Angabanga, the Fly, the Watut, the seas like the Tabar, Misima and Bisambuk, for that matter. Acting Speaker, I have overwhelming scientific evidence from reputable sources that confirm the existence of extreme environmental pollution and negative health impacts in my side of the country as a result of program mining. The studies of an Australian premier scientific institution called the CS IRO, Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization, whose studies in 1996, 2007, and 2012 on the Pogra-Strickland River system. The 2006 and the 2009 reports from the Norwegian Pension Fund Global, whose Ethics Council recommended for the exclusion of the Canadian Barrick Gold in 2009 and the China's Jinjin Mining Corporation in 2012, each for causing severe environmental damage to the Strickland River system and in some of the countries that these two companies operate as well. These two companies were the last operators of the Pogra mine until the 25th of August 2020, upon which the issuance of the new SML-11 and the ownership transferred to Kumul Minerals Holdings Limited. However, they are all advancing to partnership, and the legacy issues of the mining and the tailings disposal remains and is never been discussed in all of these negotiations. Acting Speaker, the other exhaustive scientific information on food is gathered by the Constitutional Law and Reform Commission of 2007. Report number 6, review of the environmental and mining laws relating to the management and disposal of tailings. These references were issued by then late Somare Temu government in 2007 in relation to the Kodabu report of 2007 on the Angabanga River, sponsored by the central provincial government. And this is the same question that's been raised every now and then, seeking answers by the good member for Mekho, Kairoku, Honorable Peter Isiamo, on this floor of Parliament. I am also happy to acknowledge a letter by the former Minister for Environment and Conservation, Honorable Wera Mori, who boldly admitted through that letter the existence of the extreme environmental pollutions and profound health issues on the Strickland Basin. In his letter to the Prime Minister dated 25th of February 2021, and I quote,
Honorable Member, because it was your first time asking question, I've allowed enough time for you to give a background on that question, so
okay.
I think I'll ask you now to go straight to your question.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I'll be very brief. Okay, so, Acting Speaker, given the aforementioned independent reports and admittance by the former minister, my questions are as follows. Question number 1, to our good Minister for Mining, what is your department's position on the pollution of the Strickland River system and its effects on lives and livelihoods of my people? And I think the same is said, or can be said, of our people from Lagai on the Pogra side, the Enga side. Can you give assurance to my people that their plights will be considered or are being considered in the new Pogra negotiations? Number 3, would you agree with me that the environmental liabilities of the old Pogra needs to be segregated or separated before going forward in the new Pogra with the citizens untainted, and I repeat, untainted, Kumul Minerals Holdings Limited? And finally, given the overwhelming body of evidence of extreme environmental and health and physical degradation on my people's habitat, what is your plan for the full compensation, and if any, so in what form, shape, and when? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister for Mining.
Mr. Speaker, Acting Speaker, or Deputy Speaker, let me thank the member for Lake Kopiaku for that very detailed and very serious question on a very serious matter. Mr. Speaker, I would like to also thank the member for Lake Copiago for giving me a copy of his questions before he asked the question. So I was able to have a brief discussion with the Minister for Environment. Mr. Acting Speaker, we both agree that this matter falls within the responsibility for both of us. So I want to point that out because I have been guilty in answering some questions recently that had more implications on environment than mining. But I failed to acknowledge each side of the responsibility. So I just wanted to emphasize that this question perhaps is more about environment than it is mining financial and business operations. So I will acknowledge that and allow the Minister for Environment to say a few words if he needs to, otherwise to take note and refer it to his environmental scientists, because this is a matter that requires more scientific attention. But Minister, because, Mr. Speaker, the environmental laws or SEPA regulations monitor and ensure the chemical contents of the tailings and other waste streams from the mining and processing plants to ensure that these materials are neutralized or they are reduced to a global acceptable limits of metal contents or detoxified before these metals are released into the environment. That is why it is important that the Minister for Mining perhaps should be referred these questions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, for solid wastes and tailings, the construction of waste dumps or tailing dumps are very challenging, and many mines have been permitted to use what is referred to as failing waste rock dumps, whereby the overburdens or waste rocks that are put in the systems, river systems, as additional solid materials, that these are chemically tested to ensure that they do not toxify or become toxic to the environment. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I will be referring this question to my department for more detailed analysis, especially for consideration by the Kumul Minerals, which owns the mine, which is our government, which is us, to handle the commercial side of this concern. Mr. Speaker, environmental issues and how we handle them very seriously affect the commercial operations of the mine. We have been very concerned, and I think member for Cairo Query and other members have raised these issues. And I also mentioned that what we do with our waste and how we dump them and how we pay attention to this waste is not only affecting our environment, but it also is affecting our reputation at the global scene. We still have to do business with the rest of the world, and how we and our finances also depend on the international markets. And as I said before, the way we handle the wastes also affect our reputation and our marketability on the international scene. But at the same time, we have to protect and respect the sanctity of the licenses we grant to mining companies. So somewhere there lies the responsibility of this government to provide a balance on the business side, as well as to ensure that the environment is kept clean and that the people do not unnecessarily suffer. But that is the area that I want to live. That is the environmental area or considerations or environmental science that I want to leave to the minister responsible to maybe address. But before I sit down, I want to say that we are now in the process of finalizing our negotiations with Pogera, the new Pogera, and we are very, very close to finalizing that, and we'll be making a statement in the next week where we are. But we have the environmental issues have been sorted out, but I will not dwell on that. Again, I'll leave it to the minister. But the commercial side and the mining operations have been sorted out, and especially the taxation issue relating to Barrick, and we are now ready to move forward. But these are the concerns, and these are very serious concerns. My heart goes out to people who are affected by the environment, and I want to assure the member that we will do whatever we can to ensure that the environment is kept protected and clean for the benefit of our people. But let me say this, that on the mining side, operation side, commercial side, we are ready to move forward. These matters are very serious, so I will now refer them to the Minister for Environment to handle. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister for Housing, I believe you have explanation. Our question time has lapsed. Honorable members are being informed that the Minister for Housing haven't replied for the answer being raised, the question raised by member for above. So I will ask Minister to seek leave of the House. Honorable Minister for Housing.
Speaker, leave the Parliament, the working responsible long. Question of semi-national Parliament long Tuesday long.
Is leave granted? Leave granted, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This is my response to Honorable Sep Pukatemu's question on the floor of Parliament, dated 21st March 2023, on the eviction of an agri family residing on National Housing Corporation property, Section 274, Lot 7 in Gero NCD. Mr. Speaker, thank you again for allowing me to provide a response to this Honourable House in relation to Sepuka Temu's question on the recent evictions on the National Housing Corporation properties, particularly Section 247, Allotment 7 in Gerahu, NCD, and Section 274, Allotment 7, again in Gerahu, NCD, as reported on the front page of Daily Post Courier dated 21st March 2023. Mr. Speaker, I would like to put on record that the Post Courier had erred in its reporting on the status of the two properties. Based on the National Housing Corporation health records, the details of the property, Section 247, Allotment 7 in Gero, is as such. Tenant or purchaser, the name is Guria Robin and G. Henau. The scheme is rental purchase, volume 30, folio 7267, remarks title released on the 11th of August 1989. This is a settled property without any issue, and the title was released to the tenant who has purchased this property in 1989 and is a different property altogether, and not what the postcoder had reported. The postcoder must get its facts right, or at least cross-check with the National Housing Corporation before publishing such an anonymous article. However, Mr. Speaker, the correct property that the eviction took place is Section 274, Lot 7, again in Gereu. The specific details of this property is in question is as follows. Gazetted purchaser, Nelson John and Nelly Nelson. Former tenant, Jaseking Akianang. Tenant was paying 12 kina rental until 1999 deduction ceased, and it was under government giveaway scheme. Title, Volume 80, Folio 141, Gazetted 10 of 1995. Remarks, the title released to purchaser on the 21st of December 2011. Mr. Speaker, the eviction was carried out by the joint purchaser, Nelson John and Nelly Nelson, whose names were published in the National Gazette number G78 of 24 August 1995 on giveaway scheme, listing number 10 by the former management and minister. The contract documents were prepared in 2007 and reprinted in 2010 and signed by the joint purchaser, and the title was then transferred on the 21st of December 2011. My office, Mr. Speaker, my office and the National Housing Corporation Management were not aware of the eviction exercise being carried out against Mr. Jaseking Akianang and his family, and I have instructed National Housing lawyers to intervene and to put a stop on this eviction despite a court order in place until all facts are properly ascertained by a competent court. Mr. Speaker, I also want to inform this Honorable House that there was another eviction exercise, as I mentioned on Tuesday, also carried out in a property in Jiwaka, which is property for National Housing Corporation, the Section 02, House number 4, in Minsk, Jiwaka Province, on the 28th of March 2023. To set the record straight, this eviction exercise was not done by National Housing Corporation officials, but by locals themselves. Mr. Speaker, the perpetrator of this incident is Mr. Simon Hans, a local councillor of South Wagi, with the support of Minsk Police Station Commander and Mr. Michael Kapak, the executive officer of the Governor for Jiwaka. Mr. Speaker, these people must be questioned by the local authorities, as they don't have the mandate to carry out such illegal eviction exercise on National Housing Corporation properties, and their actions must be stopped forthwith. Even my National Housing Corporation estate officer, Mr. Fabian Kuo, was chased out of his office by Mr. Simon Hans, the councillor. And I appeal to the Governor and the provincial administration of Jiwaka to intervene and allow common sense to prevail for the common good of our people. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I have directed the National Housing Corporation Management and its senior management officers on the 21st of 2023 to immediately undertake the following course of actions. Number 1, National Housing Corporation lawyers to immediately file an argument urgent application to the district and National Court to try and stop eviction until the transfer of title to the joint purchaser is properly investigated and verified by the NHC and the Department of Lands and Physical Planning. Number 2, NHC management to put a complete stop on all eviction exercise nationwide unless through a lawful court order on defaulting tenants after exhausting all the humanitarian grounds. Number 3, this is a clear example of what I term as legacy issues, and before the year ends, I will make sure that the NHC will be better equipped with an online asset inventory management system to avoid such malpractices of manual processing of title or property transfer. This will be a thing of past on under a new look NHC administration. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure this Honourable House that I will get to the bottom of this road to ascertain as to how the title was transferred to the third party who was not physically residing on the concerned property for well over 46 years, and if NHC officers are found to be responsible, then they shall be terminated forthwith, as I am adamant to stamp out corruption in energy during my term in this Mara Barroso government. And number 5, and finally, for the Jiwaka case, I have directed with all given, a directive will be given to the National Hospital Corporation senior management to hold discussions with Jiwaka Provincial Administration, means urban allergy, and means police commander to amicably resolve this issue for happening again. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Fisheries.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Explain your motion. Is leave granted? Honourable Minister, explain your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent the Minister of Internal Security presenting a ministerial statement being called on forthwith.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Ayes have it. The Honourable Minister for Internal Security.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, leaders of this Honourable House. I'm happy to stand before you all to finally present my ministerial statement. And before I do, just for the purpose of our country and also our leaders, the ministry covers 2 big departments: police, correctional services, an authority which is Security Industry Authority, a project which is the National Identification Program, or NID, and narcotics. Deputy Speaker, I rise to update the House on the work that my ministry is undertaking to address law and order issues that face our nation. I do so at a time when crime levels are rising and the capacity of our police to respond to more constraints more than ever. Our nation is a diverse and cultural rich country, but it is this very diversity that possesses significant challenges to law enforcing, including public safety and security. The country's physical geography, the increased population against a stagnant organizational strength, and new and emerging crimes have challenged the country's law enforcement capacity. In the space of PNG Royal Constabulary, Mr. Speaker, or Deputy Speaker, the RPNGC is a primary law enforcement agency in the country. It is responsible for maintaining law and order, ensuring public safety. Yet the organization faces a range of challenges that affects its ability to carry out constitutional mandate. Concerns of law and order center around criminal violence and the limited effectiveness of state controls. Simply put, the continuing escalation of disorder in many areas reflects the limitation of state authority. Mr. Deputy Speaker, current issues that threaten our national internal security include arms proliferation, the use of abuse and proliferation of illicit substances such as methamphetamine and cocaine, sexual violence, alcohol abuse, sorcery-related violence, election-related violence, sea piracy, ethnic tension and violence, kidnapping, and transnational crimes, including trafficking in humans, arms, drugs, minerals, and wildlife, production and trade of counterfeit goods, fraud and extortion, money laundering, and cyber crimes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, complex crimes take time to investigate and prosecute. Others are costly. Given the geographical terrain and accessibility to the crime scene, some crimes are fueled, aided, and perpetrated by high-powered firearms. The proliferation of weapons only adds to the challenges that we face. In my view, the endorsement and implementation of the gun report of 2006 by retired Army General Singarok is a way forward for us to administer and control firearms in the country. The simple fact is that the use of these high-powered weapons in committing serious crimes, the breakdown in law and order, and state institutions' inability to exercise authority only exacerbate the very significant challenges that we face. Deputy Speaker, the challenges that are within the RPNGC. Let me now speak of the challenges the RPNGC face. Many of these challenges are undermining the ability of RPNGC to execute its constitutional functions effectively. Some are significant and worth noting. Deputy Speaker, the police to population ratio. The United Nations recommend police-citizen ratio is 1 policeman to 220 citizens. The current PNG in 2023 is projected to be approximately 10.3 or 1.8% increase from 2022. Deputy Speaker, uniformed police numbers in 2021 were 6,535. Since then, the RPNGC has not recruited any new officers, and deaths, termination, retirement, and organizational separation have reduced this figure to just 5,600 uniformed officers. This means that PNG presently has police to citizen ratio of 1,000, of 1 policeman or 1 police to 1,845. This is almost 9 times the United Nations recommended ratio. Simply put, how can we expect our women and men in uniform to make a difference when their numbers as a proportion of the population are so low? Mr. Speaker, lack of reporting and reluctancy to pursue cases, particularly sorcery cases related violence. There is also a minimal reporting crime in many parts of PNG. And even when crimes are reported, many are never pursued to prosecution. There are notable reasons for this. They include, Mr. Speaker, superstitious beliefs where reporting or assisting in pursuing a case is viewed with suspicion, retaliation by suspects and their relatives, and the remoteness of crimes and accessibility to police service. Many crimes occur in very remote places within minimal access to police, or in some cases, none. So, Deputy Speaker, inadequate training to deal with new and emerging transnational crimes. New and emerging crimes like kidnapping and transnational crimes include computer and cyber crimes, continue to challenge the RPNGC. The lack of adequate training and the resources and equipment required to address these crimes effectively is wanting. The RPNGC cannot address these crimes alone. There needs to be a collective and collaborative approach between law enforcement agencies, both internal and external, to address these new and emerging issues. Deputy Speaker, policing the digital world. The availability and use of digital tools to communicate on the internet, digital devices, smart devices, and other technologies, including social media platforms, have stretched our capacity to meet expectations. There is no structured way of reporting, analyzing, documenting, and processing crimes reported on social media platforms. It is impossible to initiate criminal proceedings when crimes are reported on social media without formal complaint at the police station. Yet the public expects the Royal Police Constabulary to respond. What is more concerning is the spread of misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, which can potentially destabilize peace. Assistant Deputy Speaker, mediocre performance by our commissioning officers, or assistant police commissioners, and provincial police commanders, including directors. Most of the challenges facing the RPNGC and the way forward to address these challenges are captured in the RPNGC Corporate Plan 2021 to 2030. The plan has achievable outcomes within specific timeframes, but this requires drivers to execute and achieve results. In other words, a plan without execution is futile. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary faces a chronic shortage of middle managers, police, provincial police commanders and directors that can support the organization in achieving its priorities and goals in the corporate plan. For example, investigations and prosecutions remain a core function of the Crimes Division in the RPNGC, but the statistics show the division is lagging, and this point to the lack of leadership. Leadership issues also have implications for the command and control of subordinates. As a case in point, a monitoring and evaluation exercise conducted towards the end of 2022 for assistant commissioners revealed an average score of 45% for overall performance. What this shows is that the current crop of assistant commissioners were unable to deliver on key priorities contained in the corporate plan, including reforms that initiated by the executive management. Deputy Assistant Speaker, measures taken by the RPNGC. The Commissioner's intent for 2023 is overarching and aimed at addressing some of the challenges that the organization currently faces. These include growing and improving RPNGC, building a safer PNG, strengthening partnership, leadership and governance, investing in infrastructure, and in human resource management and development. Growing and improving RPNGC. Successive governments have given lip service to the RPNGC in terms of increasing its police uniform numbers. Official documents, including the Medium-Term Development Plan 1, 2, and 3, all committed to increase police numbers. Those commitments have never been matched by the political will. But that is going to change, Deputy Assistant Speaker. This year, 2023, for the first time in more than a decade, the Marape Rosso government has significantly increased the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary budget. The RPNGC has embarked on a mass recruitment drive, which commenced early this year. The recruitment of regular police officers is almost complete, and the training of the first 320 recruits will begin in April. The Bomana Center of Excellence, formerly Bomana Police College, has the capacity to train 640 officers annually. Increasing the numbers of trainees above this threshold is limited by the training facilities and instructors. Deputy Assistant Speaker, that is why our government has commissioned a second training center at Gusup, Morobe Province, to be commissioned as a regional training center. The new center will allow us to increase the annual number of trainees. As a consequence, police numbers and police-to-citizen ratio will significantly improve as we continue to maintain current support and funding over the next decade. So, Deputy Assistant Speaker, building a safer PNG. The RPNGC is also working to build a safer and more conscious, more prosperous PNG. And our initiatives include increased direct support to our country's extractive industries, an investigation task force team to address major unresolved crimes, an operational plan for the Western Force or Special Policing Arrangement, which will deploy 230 personnel to the Western End Command to assist the local police, and to establish a family sexual violence unit in all our major provincial centers to address gender-based violence. Deputy Assistant Speaker, strengthening our partnership, leadership and governance. Partnership programs enhance capacity, building and improve capability and information sharing. The RPNGC has reached out to provincial and district governments to strengthen policing at different levels of government. It is also forming strategic partnerships with its regional and international counterparts, particularly the law enforcement agencies. Strategic partnership with regional and international counterparts is critical to address our transnational crime. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, In line with the government's minimum service delivery framework, provincial police commanders in each province have developed provincial and district development plans focused on improving police service delivery at a provincial and district level. Each PPC has been instructed to closely work with provincial and district administrators and elected leaders, governors and members of parliament, as these plans require collective efforts and support from provincial and district governments. Assistant Deputy Speaker, the RPNGC has also recently partnered with the Department of Information and Communication Technology to police the digital world. The Cyber Coordination Center will address cyber and computer crimes, monitor social media platforms, and report crimes to police for action. The administration and mechanisms of the operation will be captured in an Memorandum of Understanding between the RPNGC and Department of Information Communication Technology, or DICT. Members of the DICT will be sworn in as special constables, so they enjoy the same policing powers as regular member of the RPNGC. Mr. Assistant Speaker, the RPNGC recognizes its limited capacity and ability to address, for example, transnational crimes and capacity building. For this reason, it is continuing to strengthen relationship with traditional partners and forging new partnership with other law enforcement agencies and organizations in the region. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the relationship with the Australian Federal Police through the Papua New Guinea Australia Policing Partnership has matured. Capacity building, information sharing, and technology transfer are some of the activities undertaken by the program. For example, over 130 police prosecutors will graduate with diplomas in prosecution in the next 2 years. A new initiative supported by PNG APP to build the capacity of our police prosecutors. This strategic partnership benefits both countries. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the Commissioner of Police, under my direction, has established a strategic partnership engagement coordination called SPEC. This body is to manage and coordinate bilateral, multilateral, and intergovernment partnership arrangement. SPEC will coordinate resources and support to address priority areas affecting the RPNGC and maximize the resource support to targeted areas to improve overall effectiveness and efficiency in delivering police service. The RPNGC has also forged and strengthened partnership with the Indonesian Police, Solomon Islands Police, U.S. Government Law Enforcement Agency, the Homeland Security Investigation. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, our infrastructure development. Let me now speak to some of our investment in infrastructure. The RPNGC has conducted feasibility studies into rehabilitating and building new highway patrol bases in all provinces. Our aim is to have these bases at a spacing of 60 kilometers apart. We have conducted feasibility studies into reviving and strengthening water police bases in coastal areas. These activities, the national government's broader PNG Connect initiative. We are also investing in new training facilities. Classroom, a mess, and a gymnasium are under construction for the new recruits. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the government has also approved a special policing assistant program called SPAP to assist with its development activities. PFDs and PIPs have been submitted to National Planning and Treasury. The RPNGC has also established contact with Toyota in Japan through the Japanese embassy to purchase vehicles to refleet its aging fleet and reduce hires. Deputy Assistant Speaker, strengthen our governance, revising our Police Act. The RPNGC, with support from the Constitutional Reform Commission, is currently revising our Police Act to accommodate development strategies, key focus areas, and the medium-term development plan and the Commissioner's intentions. Deputy Assistant Speaker, human resource management and development. We are also investing in human resource management and development. The RPNGC, with the support from the AFP or APP program, will recruit expatriates into key positions in the crime division, fraud, traffic, and Internal Affairs Directorate. This initiative aims to improve performance in specific divisions and directorates which are currently lagging. The expatriates will assist in mentoring and capacity building, and they expect to start in April. The RPNGC has also revised its organizational structure to accommodate the prevailing challenges, including poor performance by the executive, senior, and middle managers. For example, divisional commanders in regions will be reduced to commanders instead of assistant commissioners of the police. They will enjoy current emoluments and benefits, but will be reduced in rank. This will flatten the structure and enhances better coordination in command and control. We are increasing police numbers and improving infrastructure. We are investing in training and calling poor performing officers to account. We are actively progressing legislative change where that is necessary and working to improve operational capacity. Deputy Assistant Speaker, in the space of correctional services, Papua New Guinea Correctional Services completes the law and justice sector criminal system. It is one of the agencies that is responsible by law to hold prisoners, to manage them, rehabilitate, reform them, and prepare them to go back to our society. It is also responsible to hold the remandees, detainees in custody whilst waiting for their court cases. Today, Correctional Services holds over 5,000 detainees in 20 correctional institutions and 6 rural lockups. All these detainees are held in custody 24/7, 365 days, with my officers also rotating on work from day-night shifts to keep these detainees in custody. Deputy Assistant Speaker, many critiques continue to ridicule correctional officers when there is an escape from a correctional institution to when the detainees are outside of correctional institutions. Yes, I admit, however, we must appreciate correctional officers for taking care of over 5,000 detainees in custody, with 1,062 convicted detainees completing their sentences and successfully going back into our communities, compared to 210 detainees who escaped in 2022. 166 of them are still on the run, while 38 have been recaptured by joint CS police operations. Deputy Assistant Speaker, our rehabilitation does not make it to our print and social media platforms. However, over 700 convicted low-risk detainees are being rehabilitated in many programs being coordinated at the correctional institutions through garment and textile industries, farms and gardens, food, TVET, literacy and numbers programs, Bible correspondent courses, bakery, oil palm, cocoa and coffee projects, routine buildings and vehicle maintenance, community and civil services. So, Deputy Speaker, Assistant Deputy Speaker, we should be proud of the success we have in our correctional services. CS is moving towards reforming the current establishment through its rebuilding its human resources. CS current officers are now at 1,522, and we are rebuilding towards 2,700 in 2032. Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker, CS partnering with police defense through putting their frontline officers through a 2-year cadetship training at the Joint Forces College. CS is recruiting over 100 new officers. CS has engaged with Solomon Island Correctional Services to allow 7 of their officers to train with their PNG Correctional Services colleagues. Over 300 officers have completed their TVET certificates. Officers graduating to diplomas, undergraduate certificates, and to master certificates. In total, over 800 correctional services officers are graduates of colleges and universities in country and overseas. CS is rebuilding its workforce by direct employment of 33 new health officers, currently increasing health officers' number to 46, around the 20 correctional institutions. The position taken by CS or Correctional Services to increase its manpower is to recruit and employ expertise in the field of psychiatrists, psychologists, infrastructure specialists, social counsels, chaplains, and operational officers. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, Correctional Services is also building its own Correctional Services Hospital to cater for the detainees referred from other institutions and to cater for the detainees with mental health illness. This position is taken in order to stop detainees from escaping from public hospitals, but most importantly, to secure detainees in a secured environment in order to continue their medical treatment. Deputy Assistant Speaker, maintaining current assets, starting with staffing houses, detainee dormitories, office buildings, to utilities like sewage, water, and electricity requires huge resources from technical expertise, huge budget, and other resources. Correctional Services has over 1,042 staff houses, barracks, to accommodate the same number of officers, including manpower to 2,700. 1,700 staff houses and barracks. The same accommodation problems to overcrowding in many of our correctional institutions, with over 500 detainees requiring 5 dormitories per 100 detainee, to 10 dormitories per detainee. Mr. Assistant Speaker, the option that CS is pushing for is to have TVET centers established in 6 correctional institutions. 1 in Bomana, 1 in Baisu, 1 in Keravat, 1 in Buimo, and 1 in Hawa, Hela Province. Buimo in Morobe Province, Keravat in East Britain Province, Baisu in Western Highlands Province, and Bomana, National Capital District. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, preparing our convicted detainees to undergo TVET courses at these correctional institutions will set the foundation to have a qualified detainees working alongside serious or correctional technical officers to carry out general maintenance on our houses, dormitories, around the correctional institutions. This approach will save cost, but help with sets of skills, knowledge, along with experiences of our convicted detainees will gain. The Correctional Services and state will benefit from this exercise. Correctional Services exploring more reforms in infrastructure and human resource capacity building. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the need to introduce electronic surveillance system is important in our correctional institution. This is to control, monitor movement of illicit drugs, smuggling in mobile phones, monitoring officers and detainees' interaction, and providing a timely surveillance over general operations. Correctional Services is working together with international community of Red Cross with the ongoing technical support on our future designs of infrastructure to cater for CCTV and good detention management plan, as well as health support to our detainees. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, in summing the work of Correctional Services, we've established garment and textile industries at Bomana Correctional Institution and Buimo Correctional Institution. We've established oil palms at Lakimata, Gili Gili, Keviang, Biru Correctional Institutions. Established a Correctional Service Juvenile Center at Bomana Correctional Institutions in consultation with Department of Justice and Attorney. Transferring of Correctional Service intelligence officers to police, defense force, and National Intelligence Organization. We've established 1 Correctional Service Hospital, Bomana Correctional Institution, for referrals and for mental health, currently using an existing dormitory. We're building perimeter fence to stop detainees escaping at Buimo, Keravat, Lakiamata, and Boram. We continue to complete the ongoing Mukrumanda Correctional Facility in Ananga. We continue supporting the construction of perimeter fence at Hawa Correctional Institution. We continue to complete the Boram female dormitory. We're pushing for provincial tendering for Buimo and Gili Gili 100-men dormitories. We're pushing for provincial tendering of new Balimo rural lockup We seek government support to refleet the aging vehicles in correctional services, explore the expansion of the Bougainville Correctional Services to the 3 regions of North, Central, and South. We're creating new 800 positions for officers to increase the manpower from our current 1,500 to 2,700. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, there are many successes noted in our correctional institutions. Amidst the difficult times we are faced with, we must appreciate all the efforts our officers are putting together through commitments to make correctional services a better place for our remand and convicted detainees to live, learn, and become better citizens. Having stated the success, there are challenges which must not be set aside, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They are the need for reform taking place in the correctional services cannot be filled as goods and services annual budget is not increased from 34 million to the required 66 million annually required. Number 2, the price increase has contributed to correctional services officers and detainees missing out on uniforms. Number 3, a total of 1,042 staff houses are current, but we need 500 extra to cater for the increase. Number 4, the increased manpower expected of 2,700 will certainly highlight the need for an increase of 1,700 accommodation. The use of mobile phones and other illegal items by detainees in correctional services requires CCTV and jamming systems to control them. And number 6, we have a growing debt of 30 million kina going back to 2005. Mr. Assistant Deputy Speaker, CS is taking major legal and policy reforms. Correctional Services reviewing its current legislation in consultation with CRRC. Main areas of reform will be in creating an avenue for correctional services to have its own prison industry authority. Establishing this business entity will improve and strengthen the ongoing prison industries. This is where revenue will be generated to keep the industries operating and expanding where required. This is where funds generated can support correctional service operations. This is where convicted detainees can have startup funds to help them when they leave the correctional facility. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the legislation reform will improve and strengthen disciplinary processes where Commissioner can dismiss officers for misappropriation, for aiding prisoners to escape from prison, and for officers trading with prisoners. The legislation reform will allow correctional service officers to engage with national and international engagement as well as participating in the United Nations peacekeeping duties. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the space of Security Industries Authority, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Security Industries Authority is a government body that is established by Section 4 of the Security Industries Act of 2004. And it is officially came into existence in 2006, and it has been in operation for 17 years now. The main functions of Security Industries Authority under Section 5 of the Security Industries Act is to issue security licenses and guard permits to security guards to do security business. Number 2 is to regulate the conduct of security guards and security companies. And number 3, to approve or establish security training institutions to train all security guards. About the Security Industries Council. The Security Industries Council is a board. It's legally established by Section 7 of the Security Industries Act, while Section 8 sets out its duties as the governing body. The Council is made up of 8 members from various stakeholders under the chairmanship of the Commissioner, who controls the affairs of the Security Industries Authority by 1, holding regular meetings to make policy decisions for the implementation by Registrar of the Security Industries Authority and his staff to take our authority forward, and 2, consulting industry players for their input on how the industry should operate. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, The authority head of office is currently located at the LNA building at Ume Street, Gordon Industrial Area in NCD. The office caters for Southern NGI region clients. The office is headed by a registrar or CEO who has a 14 staff which comprise of the registrar himself and 13 other working under him. 11 officers are based in NCDC with the registrar, while the other 3 are based in Ley. The Ley office is consistent of the Regional Security Inspector Momase, a Regional Security Inspector Highlands, and a office reception. SIA intends to move to the Highlands Region's office, currently where it's set up in Ley, to Mount Hagen, while the current NGI office in NCD will be moved to Kimbe, to bring services closer to security companies and security guards based there, and also effectively regulate them. By doing this, we'll improve efficiency and reduce cost and support for growth of the security business in the respective regions. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the SIA has had nil government budgetary support. When the Security Industries Authority came into existence in 2006, it was supported by a yearly government budget of 900,000, apart from the 800,000 it made annually from security license and security guards permit fees. However, the government funding ceased in 2011 due to Part 3 of the NEC edition number 287, dated 17 December of 2023. As a result, from the 2000 level till now on 2023, the Security Industries Authority has been self-sustaining and operating without government budgetary support. Because it now depends solely on approximately 1.5 million it makes yearly from security licensing and security guard permits, it collects from private security companies to support its operations. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Assistant Speaker, the SIA has completed its 5-year corporate plan, 2023-2027, and a business plan which includes the new organizational structure to cater for the new positions for the field in proposed NGI Highlands and for the NCD Southern Region Office. Once the Council approves the new corporate plan, it will be taken to DPM for approval and effective thereafter. It will coincide with the current ongoing amendments to increase the licensing fees in the Security Industries Act to financially empower SIA to support new SIA corporate plan to do its work effectively to support the growth of security industry in Papua New Guinea. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the establishment of Board of Complaints, or BOC, a legal deficiencies identified in the current Security Protection Industries Act of 2004, dealing with awarding penalties to offending security companies and their guards. In March 2021, the Board of Complaints was legally established in compliance with Section 57 of the Security Industries Act 2004 by the Security Industries Authority, SIA, to investigate the fight between 2 security companies at the Jackson's airport. This resulted in damages done to NIC properties and disturbed the flight operation, which was reported in the media. However, during the series of board complaints hearing into the incident, it was discovered that the Security Protection Industries Act 2004 and the Security Industries Regulation of 2012 didn't have the legal mechanism, such as the Security Code of Conduct and the disciplinary points register built into the Act and the regulation to empower the Board of Complaints to deliberate on the matter and award appropriate penalties to the offending security companies. Therefore, the Security Industries Council sought assistance from the First Legislative Council, or FLC, and FLC is currently working on the amendments in the Security Industries Regulation 2012 to empower the Security Industries Authority to do its job. Consultation with security industries players. Once done, and industry players will be consulted for their input and endorsed by the Council, and it will go before the NSC for approval. Then it will be gazetted by the Governor-General to make into law. Hence, the revised regulation will empower SIA through the Board of Complaints to deal with security guards, companies that breach their code of ethics, and award appropriate penalties. As I speak, the draft regulation is now before the First Legislative Council for their review and drafting. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the establishment of the Security Training Committee. The Security Industries Council in 2021 approved for the establishment of the training committee made up of 2 current council members and the registrar and his staff to really look at the current security training syllabus and improve to train guards. To cater for this, the authority has budgeted some money to engage a private security consultant to draft the standardized course syllabus to train the guards. The industry players will be consulted on this drafting. Once done, SEIA will seek approval from the National Training Council under NTC Act of 1991, and thereafter SEIA will grant approval to private training companies to train guards. By doing so, we will improve the quality for the guards to be disciplined towards their duties and add value to their CV for better remuneration. SEIA will work training companies to audit the number of guards trained to work further to improve the training syllabus. Because currently there is no control on security companies that are training security guards, and that SEIA does not know the courses syllabus that they are teaching their guards. Deputy Assistant Speaker, Security Industries Authority was established by Security Protection Industry in 2004, and it came into operation in 2006. And by then it registered 174 security companies that employed 12,396 guards. But after 16 years, as of December 2022, the total number of licensed security companies rose to 562, employing a total of 29,445 security guards across Papua New Guinea. Deputy Assistant Speaker, registration of foreign-owned security companies. All security companies, either be it foreign-owned or nationally owned, first register with the IPA Investment Authority and issue a certificate of incorporation or business name before they come into security industries to register and be issued license or guard permits. What Security Protection Act 2004 says on registration of foreign-owned security companies. There is no specific clause in the Security Industries Act 2004 that restricts foreigners from registering and operating security companies in PNG. Therefore, SEIA allows any foreign-owned security companies to register and operate as a company is legally registered with IPA and the IRC and pays their tax. Information on who owns, information on who the owners of foreign-owned security companies. The information on owners or directors of foreign-owned security companies are provided to SEIA from information contained in the IPA company or business abstract. And SEIA has the database of all security companies in the country, thus it has names of all owners and directors of foreign-owned companies. Total number of foreign-owned security companies is 15 as at the year 2022. The 15 owned companies are registered and are compliant with the Act. The workforce, the security industry is one of the industry in the law and justice sector that employs the largest workforce. As I made mention, 29,445. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, security industry supporting police and law and order issues in PNG. Security companies are supporting police to help reduce crime by protecting life and property and also providing employment for many of our men and women, and more importantly, supporting the economy while police concentrate on investigate and arrest. Deputy Assistant Speaker, in the space of National Civil Identity Registry, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Assistant Speaker, civil registration and identification of all Papua New Guineans and others who dwell within our borders is too important to ignore, as it is the genesis of development. This comprise the total process of collecting information on the occurrence of characteristics of vital events, such as example of birth, death, cause of death, marriage, adoption, etc., and the generating vital statistics through the compilation, analysis, evaluation, presentation, and dissemination of data. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the PNG-CIR developed its corporate vision from the above priority of the governance in the Medium-Term Development Plan 3 and support fully the documented goals as follows. The government will implement a modern, reliable, and secure national identification system to support governance and the delivery of government services. The NID system will enable effective delivery of public service and promote governance, a better governance. The government will strengthen the legal and institutional framework for NID, enhance technology and infrastructure, raise public awareness and understanding, and ensure coordination and collaboration among relevant government agencies. The NID system will facilitate effective governance by providing accurate data on population, which will inform policy and planning decisions. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the stored data of citizens has the potential to transform the way citizens interact with government, promote financial inclusion, social welfare, enhance efficiency of business. It will have significant benefits for citizens, businesses, and government. Citizens will have access to a range of government services through a single digital identity, and businesses will benefit from reduced transaction costs and increased efficiency. The government will have better data on its citizens, enabling it to design more effective policies and programs. It is such that, on behalf of the Marape Rosso government, I have directed the NID project to register 95% of the population by 16 September 2025 as a Golden Jubilee anniversary gift to Papua New Guinea. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, in order to implement the ministerial directives, PNG-CIR will need to register almost 2.4 million per annum for the next 2.5 years. The other 6 months will be used to map out the late registrations, marginalized and hard-to-reach communities. With the national average cost of 50 kina per person to register, these annual registration targets require funding of about 310 million plus for manpower, machines, materials, and methods. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, political will and support is essential, paramount to assist in this endeavor, and my ministry is in process to bring to NEC a policy submission on counter-funding options, strategies to support implementation of ministerial policy directives to register 95% population by 2025. The policy calls for provinces, districts to allocate funding support to PNG-CIR through their PSIP and DSIP grants to empower the registry to go to the people and ensure everyone is accounted and accorded legal identity. Mr. Speaker, from 2015, Deputy Speaker, from 2015, 31st December to 2022, a total of 2,855,271 registration nationwide has been collected. The total registration comprises of 2,085,628, which is 18 years of age and above, which consists of 76% of this registration, and 768,288 persons below the age of 18, which makes up 24%, and 1,355, which is less than 1%, is from birth certificates and which relate to registration of adoption, death, marriage, and legitimatization. I wish to acknowledge our Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, for his continued support of the National Identification Project. These are difficult times, and this project continues to benefit from the clarity of your vision and strength of your leadership. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, the registration of public servants is priority. One at this stage until we account for all public servants of the, and implement the government's one position, one person, one pay policy. Until the government knows the numbers of people it exists to serve and protect, it can never fully allocate limited resources in a fair and equitable manner. As the NIG project moves to register the rest of Papua New Guinea, I would like to, on behalf of the Marape-Rosso government, call on all heads of departments, CEOs of national public service entities to move towards ensuring that we know the beast we feed by supporting this registration drive. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, I'm calling on our honourable members, NEC, to do what we can, where we can, so we might at least set down the right foundation for more accurate, reliable development planning in our country. Mr. Speaker, lastly but not the least, I would like to make mention in-house cultural change in the PNG Civil and Identity Registry. The national average age of the 531 recruited to work there is 27 years of age. This means that they have a lot of energy at work. Each staff is monitoring their own KPIs, and they are taught to work long hours without overtime just to meet their personal KPI, and they are rewarded or penalized accordingly. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, I am very impressed with the savings culture that the PNGCR management has instilled amongst their young staff. This is the culture I would like to see we must breed in our public service. A financially sound public servant is not a risk, nor is a liability to the system and operations of the public service. Mr. Deputy Assistant Speaker, let me conclude. The reforms we have put in place and the partnerships that we are forming to start to see, to deliver results. In short, the Marape-Rosso government is committed to addressing law and order and laying the foundation for an effective, responsive RPNGC into the future. As Minister for Internal Security, I am accurately aware of the law and order challenges our nation continues to face. Our government is committed to taking whatever action is necessary to ensure that our national police force can address these challenges. I will not waver in the task that is before me. I am confident in the coming years we will see substantial change that will benefit our nation, our economy, and our country. With this, Deputy Assistant Speaker, I commend this ministerial statement to this Honourable House. Thank you, Deputy Assistant Speaker.
Minister for Work.
I move that the Parliament take note of the paper and the debate be adjourned.
The question is that the motion be agreed. The question is that the question be agreed to. Those who say favor say aye. Those who against say no. I say it. Jimmy got
Point of order.
honourable members. Jimmy got the grievance debate. Governor Bamrobe.
Thank you, Albim Speaker. Mila Totoglong, report block. Minister of Police, now correctional services, now allowed for institution, but disciplinary forces, but you parliamentary journey me gonna Milusi Mosenta, so Mila working grievance debate now. Belevi Blomi, Mila Tok, now Mila again finance minister by treasury minister by Harim. Now Prime Minister, the Honourable James Marape and by Harim. Long Tuesday, me firing question, Nicola Minister. Long talking man long by inland tax by giving 100% by come long Morobe province. Now government can keep him import and export levy. Now government can keep him company tax, now company now income tax. Loloman work on government or company. That's what we like him. Inland tax by Sarim Kamlo Morobe provincial government. People tax one time and close to 2 billion each, 3 billion each. Close to 1 billion long inland tax, close to 1 billion long import and export levy, close to 1 billion and long company tax, now income tax. Collected long Morobe, Mr. Number 2, Alvin Speaker. Collected long Morobe. Now this is a tax, and plenty to all Morobe people are paying. Me no come here and talk long money blow oil and gas. Me no come here and talk long money blow minerals, and big company what gonna make him. Now paying tax come no government will this country. Now suppose government got equity, and we kiss him. Now one province got royalty all kiss him. Me talk tax all Morobe people pay him. Long inland tax belong collective inside the Morobe province. Morobe is close to long 1 million population. Suppose you count him. Mangi staff inside the mama will kick him, mama will come out. Why you put him close to long 1.5 million or something or something? Why you put him? So Morobe is big fla. Roading inside long 10th district, or I should say 9th district, because 10th district and Lake connected all by road. That's a 9th district, rural district, funny road no go inside. All man is stable pocket below mountain. All local kissim time no pocket below mountain. Tumnam below only stable and all like stable and splab. And ground below. Cloud will pass long, plenty half long. Mountain below me below Morobe, me winning over the mountain below Papua New Guinea. Now will come up from crowd, now will rain every day. Make him hard on balus by go inside. Make him hard on local blown money go inside. Make him hard on building road go inside. Hard all that. Soro blow Morobe me go tough call that. Soro and I'm along. Morobe na go west east and west New Britain. And one of the toughest solo inside on the country down in plenty sheep and plenty man. Heavy true. And we stop. Make all 7 sin now we go inside. Because all man is stable on Pocketable Mountain. Hard long doctor and nurse by go inside. Hard long teachers by can't go what will go teaching all picking along inside. Plenty hard long government. Long help him, government he got, long help him all people. And you go hard, Mr. Speaker. You go hard over there. Now, me come here, me go ask him, Minister, me ask him, money Morobits are paid. Me don't come ask him, you Papua New Guinea, Morobits are paying, pocket long every day. All buying tin fish, all buying sugar, all buying winning something, buying car, all buying winning something, buying bus. Inside of this Morobe. Now 10% tax government is correct him. By the law, number Alvin Speaker, all talk 10%, 3%, and by Sablon provincial government, 7% by Golon government. That's all through this 3% the minister is Sablon Morobe. By a formula, all along IRC only develop him, less than 3% is Sablon Morobe. Less than 3%. Now this money I mean enough. This money enough. Lobampo building road go inside. Building bridge go inside. Building wall from some tough soul water. Building buying ship long. You don't know dinghy in a boat. This is what clean plenty Morobe. People must buy in triple ship. People must buy in balus. Long carry me go inside long all places where all people sit down long end. So all people by some service to the slab. Long solo told by him. All by crossing big flow water. We cannot build the bridges because money no what. Now me look some time. Me challenging Mr. Government. Long 2005 me win in Supreme Court. 5 main judges all agree on me. The tax system in this country is no good. I mean, unreasonable long old people. Particularly those that man also paying taxes. Me winning this blood, Supreme Court, 5-0. And then me sign agreement, one of the Somali government, the chief, long by me plus sharing 40%, 60%, now always in 40% on inland tax. This law has never been implemented until now, me come back to Parliament. This law has never been implemented. Today, me now come asking 60-40%. President, now Prime Minister, me never ask him 60-40, me like him 100% on inland tax now. 100% tax now. Time you give him 100% tax now on inland tax, you kiss Morbi goodbye. Thank you. You kiss him goodbye. Because that money is sufficient. Now, Minister, young Minister to talk law and order now, yeah? We don't need in Papua New Guinea, Mr. Assistant Speaker. By the time mix him inland tax, me don't need in Papua New Guinea. Money enough. Population Morbe, take places more, Morbe pay more tax, enough money. Give me my inland tax. Long evil them road on side. Me must fix him infrastructure for school. Long classroom. Government give him free education, give him subsidy, miyamas. That's all by Titsi Mani on Juai. Or Aranilo Mambo. They must have good classroom all beginning by some inside next to school long am. How sick? Plenty more be all big time now. Hard long carry more come. Long lay. Because on the road no good me talking is. Road no stop. Place barrels no stop. That is why you must walk in good house signal place. Oman by come, doctor by go stop. Next by go stop now help him all. Also, Mr. Assistant Speaker, people like him, inland takes by 100%. Next Parliament by me petitioning you. Mr. Minister, you are him staff. By me petitioning you. Long by you give me inland tax by 100%, you give him. Suppose you don't give him this 100%, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. I was challenging the Supreme Court, Mila Toksawe. Better demographic tax system may be unreasonable. It's repugnant to the general principle of humanity in this country. It is totally repugnant. I mean, unfair. Or IRC, when I'm Institute of Research, only conducting research, time you're going to court long, this will tax system. Mr. Speaker, point of order on something.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. I come from this region also. With good respect to our good governor from Morobe, I understand the camera is rolling and people of Papua New Guinea are watching. So me like good governor on the city of Momase region to say something in this floor and the Papua New Guinea is watching. And I understand Papua New Guinea and from our region, it came up in more leader way they were thinking of Papua New Guinea. United, we stand.
This point of order. Point of order because
So my point of order is when we address the Parliament, we talk unity and nationalism.
Honorable Member,
so that,
you can give him point of order blong you so that we can rule him.
So when he speaks Morobe, he speaks Madang, we speak, we all Momase, and we all Papua New Guineans. So me, like remind him, good governor, Blomipla, lo region, Blomipla, lo Momase region, we look at you as a bigger brother in our region, so we look Papua New Guinea when we speak. Thank you. I respect you on him, but me like make him a comment because I'm good plan more long. You may address him country, lo grievance properly so that the camera is rolling and people are watching. Thank you.
Me continue.
Member, your point of order is not in order.
Not in order, right. Precisely right. Not in order.
Honorable Governor, you can go ahead.
Yeah, you like debate, you debate. Mr. Assistant Speaker, why are you waiting two minutes more? Mr. Speaker, Tolo this last, next Parliament. I don't think, when I'm talk, any other interest for the country. Well, I'm the provincial having staff here. I mean, I can't speak for you. And all members you will stop here, but if you talk globally, play it. That's what I don't think heavy now, me will Karim. I mean, heavy, you know, walk, Karim. Heavy me, we're going to talk. heavy province play in electric will carry.
Honorable
Also,
Governor,
no,
sorry,
Mr.
me
Speaker.
interrupting you.
Mr. Speaker.
Your time is left. You can me give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. That is why me talk. I cannot. Long time that all people will me suffer. All the makimi long come and sit up parliament and by me will sit down on some long fishing and stuff. Yeah. Me come and talk heavy long or man makimi. Now as long as me behind him standing order, me by talk. But Mr. Assistant Speaker, thank you. Thank you, Mari you give me 2 more minutes. But me by presenting petition, I'll take the matter to the Supreme Court because the tax system is totally unreasonable and repugnant to the general principle of humanity and totally unconstitutional. Thank you very much, Mr. Assistant Speaker. Belly sister want to you.
Deputy Opposition Leader.
Assistant Speaker, looks like the opposition. Me too, me like contribute go grievance debate. So me like asking Prime Minister, na all government, please look like grievance debate on Fridays. Now avoid unnecessary, unnecessary to solo papers, coming or time blow grievance debate. Ministerial statements come from 11 o'clock all the way to 12. Now you got less than an hour for grievance debate, which is the opportunity for backbenchers, NAMPLA members, talk, government must harm. Number one. Number two, people ministers working one in Santi Arase. Grievance debate, they'll be raising some very important points. Now you must sit down and harm talk members. I see some very faithful ones every grievance debate. Sit down and kiss him no. More than 50% of the ministers are not on the floor. Now this is not encouraging for all NIPLA or members come now. Me looking plenty of NIPLA members sit down stop. What are the experienced ones or ministers? Kiss him talk blow members. Mr. Assistant Speaker, this morning we had a report coming from the Minister for Internal Security. Now, I'm kissing big concern come law, MIPLA law opposition. You may have awesome in the national budget, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the Prime Minister and Cabinet below you. You put in big allocation of budget goal of police. That's all, Mr. Assistant Speaker. Lo harim blomi na lo talk lo sample line inside lo this organization. Me look sabe awesome. Now inside the newspaper when it appeared last week, I think it was in Monday's paper, the new fraud squad director, Mr. Chief Sergeant Volo, stated that his organization, the National Fraud Squad Directorate, lacks funding. Now you look at some sample organization also, NIO also. NIO also. Time you go to office blow by you surprise. Some plenty desk empty. And when you ask the director, he says there's no funding to recruit more staff. And this I'm giving concern come to me, time me harim minister statement now money. If we have allocated so much funding for this organization, by now, a quarter or a third of the funding should be released to police. Because NIO, now you may harem osem, police or save finish, this is something happened lo Bulolo. Before it happened in Bulolo, before it happened here in Central Province, or Balus Kamna crash lo here. Mipla lo Milimbe, or Panims law drugs buried in the sand on Buri Buri Island. On this floor, in the last parliament, I raised it. I raised this issue that these drugs, these illicit substances are already in Papua New Guinea. So before it could happen in Central Province and at Bulolo, it did happen already in the Milling Bay waters. And me give this warning companies. Now it will happen. It will continue to happen because there's big money involved with this illicit drug movements. Also, time you have police minister raising this issue come, and I know NIO needs to be funded. And all I blow government. Or by look backside na come na talk sa government. come na talk sawelo police, come na talk sawelo army, come na talk sawelo organizations where they can take precautions before they happen. You mean stop go happen now? You mean like crap no good na come to parliament na talk sawelo parliament. This is only proper that we put warning signs out there so that our people can know. Now, NIO needs funding. You mean looking at the newspaper just a few days ago? National Fraud Squad talk, Mipla no got money. Lo investigate him all big cases. So I think, Police Minister, there is something that we in this house have to be serious when it comes to law and order. And I say this because piracy has never come to my islands of the Torben Islands. Just a few weeks ago, a young businessman who was crossing from Alatau to go to the islands, Kirwina, he was held up by a gang. They removed everything that was on his dinghy. And so the concern of law and order is not only law towns blaming. And it brings me to the point that I would like to raise, Mr. Speaker. A few weeks ago, or a few days ago, I had the Minister for Treasury in his report, Economic Update, Implementation and Vision. He said in page number 4, wasn't it great to see so many of our young people apply in January this year? Over 18,000 young men and women have applied for jobs here in January in Papua New Guinea. My question is, from those 18,000 who have applied for the jobs, how many have received successful responses? We can come out and say, isn't it great that 18,000 young people have applied for jobs? The question is, how many of them got employed? That's the crunch of the issue. Employment has become the biggest issue in the country today. And yet we have our good treasurer print it out in the paper and say, isn't it great that 18,000 people applied for jobs in January? Out of the 18,000, how many got employed? And that question needs to be answered. He also, in his response, said, which families are suffering? When the question was raised by the member for Yalibu, Pangia, and the former Prime Minister, in his answer, he said, which families are suffering? Who said Woklo suffer? Because package Blogaman, relief package, home package of 1.1 billion and go out penis. I'm asking question, who is suffering? Somebody must be blind to be asking that question. Because all you have to do is follow me down to the streets of Boroko. Follow me to the boy market at Hanobara. And ask the families, ask the individuals out there. They'll tell you the real struggle they're facing. Today, we're talking about the drug bust at Bulolo. These things have never happened in the past. They are happening because individuals are looking for employment. Opening way to survive. Now it is incumbent to this government to make sure that employment is made possible. Miari Minister Blow Mining, I'm talking a few weeks' time. Program mine should open. It must open. You mean I can talk, that's all. It must open. At the same time, member, I'm asking question, law, pollution, law, water. Wars the mines must open. We must hold the mining companies accountable for the pollution of the rivers. Or you can work in money, that's on all go. I worked for a big company called BHP in the past for 7 years. The BHP time of polluting water law, octary or losing na go. It will happen with these mines. You me like him employment. Me too, me like him employment, blow all people blow me. That's all, Mr. Assistant Speaker. All people blame me, seen out, outside, within Papua New Guinea. All like him walk. Now you mean inside the house blame me yet?
Honorable,
Yeah, thank you. But you give me 5 seconds because you interrupted me. Lord, this like 2 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Assistant Speaker. All people blame me like him walk. Now you may inside the house blame me here. You may create him more work, blow people blame me. You may also create him more work, blow people blame me inside the house. Members of Parliament. You may like him more ministries, blow people blame me inside law here. What about our people? The funds that we are trying to expend to have more ministries would be good that we have those funds expended to create employment for our people in Papua New Guinea. Also, Mr. Speaker, now point me like raising Treasury and planning the Prime Minister. Vote 207.
Honorable member,
Time blow me over. Also, me like talk to so this is vote 207. In a all creating more visibility. Blow house or look how our spending is at 2 billion kina. Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker.
Honorable member Bright.
Assistant Speaker, me too me like joining this grievance debate na first meet of big talk amamas ko Minister blo Internal Security law on pla comprehensive plan blong em na statement em delivering lo Parliament today. District blo Milo Raikost and one pla crime hotspot district lo Papua New Guinea. Me plaza before me plaza making all headlines. And me talk thank you lo national na post Korea lo last week all making one pla report of some crime has been silent in my district. So I'm sorry mo me make sample work. Very good. Lo address him all this issue all police no go me make sample kind of interventions lo address him this na me like just sharing tasolwante this parliament to say me law and order me mas gonna work one all communities na build him this resilience na peace na security lo community level up na national government can meet him this efforts from resources and by travel lo top down na go down lo communities ward na eligible yomi. Lord Islam me commend him to internal security minister lo put him this talk blo cyber crime come inside lo this plan blong em. So today, Mr. Assistant Speaker, me la talk click lo all these little scams na all it's more like scamming people now making all people blame me lo pay money. One of them Golden Sun one something now when work lo trend lo social media where all people blame me, Papua New Guinea, they've been deceived into investing into this. I think it's a scam called Golden Sun Limited. Now this law line, you know, they have actually the courage to go now all actually using letterhead Bank of Papua New Guinea, BSP, Treasury, all this kind of Yamani mo line blow you me. Now so far I heard that there must be around millions of kina where all unsuspecting, all people blame me Papua New Guinea, all suffer stuff, but some kind thinking I'm kissing Mosem, all putting money lo Golden Sun, bulk some kind big for profit. So these are some of the cyber crimes where me like a minister of internal security must take note na maybe establishing one task force. It will be made up of people from our ICT department and even internal security na police law. Look into this online scams work lo come up na deceiving all people blame me. Na Golden Sun mi hari mo sa kisi one plakan 240 million no sen lo people lo Papua New Guinea. So me make him note lo this la na in terms of these criminals that are impersonating even leaders. Like example, me at na plenty of leaders, all you see name blow me pla, face blow me pla, lo social media, lo internet, lo tricky more Papua New Guineans na all work lo make him this la. So it's really hurting our people. Finally, Mr. Deputy Acting Speaker, me like make him narapla lik to can go lo just one pla correction lo Governor Blo Morobe. Dr. Pinis na toko sem text blo morobe ol morobe tasol pay. O se mi disagree lo disla because Ramu Sugar stop lo LLG blo me. all gonna pay him tax lo morobe. All get the cargo come out of the lay. Come lo district lo milo raikos.
Honorable member, we have a point of order from Governor for Morobe.
Point of order.
Honorable member for Raikos, when we have a point of order and a member stands, you have to say.
Point of order long respect long member long. One primary system limitation mi ba pay respect lo you. Tasul point lo mi to morobe tasul pay to all money stop lo morobe. All money stop lo morobe. Emosem you morobe indigenous morobe or you Papua New Guinea Morobe or Apkas Papua New Guinea Morobe or international community, as long as you stop Morobe or paying this tax, that is why me talk. So, Kisim good talk blomi speaker.
Honorable Governor, thank you. Explaining me, it's only an explanation. You may know working point of order, so I'll let the it's a grievance debate, and I'll let the member for Raikos continue on from your debate.
Thank you, Assistant Acting Speaker. What mila toke mosem? Morobe mosem industrial base lo mipla lo Papua New Guinea. Every day cargo kam lusino bundi lo ramu niko lemgora lay off. Lo ramu sugar mipla line lo migo all spend money lo morobe. O line lo Highlands carry mol kaikai blol kam all spend lo morobe. Morobe gateway port lo Papua New Guinea. All get the cargo lo Mamas and New Guinea Islands na Highlands land lo morobe. So, osem time governor to call morobe ta solo disla osem no true because me all get to contribute to economy blo morobe. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
The honorable member for Jimmy.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Me bin Belleville English isawe. Me no talk na time me sanap lo talk. You plan again making more money talk finish. Na lo this week ikam or last week.
Honorable member, you are now recognized. So
thank you. Okay, legally point that's all me like talk. Legally comments that's all. My Minister for CIS na police. Juaka jail, you know, include him. Governor want the Mibla Tribla leaders sign log. And by go down law, Jimmy. Now you've been acknowledging na. Midla commissioner you work stop. So that's talk savera solo sem you. Put him down na. At least you look savera sem. CIS for Juaka and sit down lo Jimmy na. Alkata Jimmy by go back na. Develop him Jimmy. Arawas and by all pulavlo. Means bands na. Place legally place and by pull up straight. And then police, Jimmy no got police. Time Mibla walk him legally safe long. Burkin province, Southern Islands, Mibla, give Elana. Western Islands, Mibla, Sim Jiwaka, structure Blomibla in Okam na. Mimbin talk last time Blomi come today na. Mibla story yet. Means just like one him ya legally police minister, please take note. All kata police post mibla all leaders use him. Good pla respect staff. Na only show him na only banisim mibla na mibla run me like him tasol. Sampla time mibla finish him all kata na. Also we escort him me means bans all kata you go down lo Jimmy na no kat lo means bans. So at least me like Savelong. Allowance na kaya no sem you can story behind. So mem click also look grievance debate me na at least you giving me 20 or 30 policeman lo Jimmy and by me amamas naraka strat. Okay, me like talk long unemployment. At least you make at school, you must give him more support. You go along technical vocational schools. This black country develop ya you sawe. All kata man all like him houses. All like him man, all got the money like him fridge na. You saw a gas stove na. All this like something long house belong all. Plumbing work na, electrical work na. All got the something unemployment by you mean not looking. Suppose all got you go technical vocational schools that are provided across the country. More legally training tas all. Helping big pla work straight. Long all get up. Now me find more carpenters. because me working Mausik, also rural referral hospital, me pla painim carpenter lo working all houses, me pla painim all carpenters lo working plumbing work, all arapla work stop yet. Now plenty time all Minister Blong Higher Education, you can take note and plenty training work lo come up. Teachers training, me sleep long, Goroka I think 30 years now. More long, 5 or 6 teachers colleges will come up along Eastern Highlands. You are well or display or no cat. Plenty you training block commercial talk accounting na kind training. Only working proper and give him employment or all money sim training finish them only go out na pining work or only sit down na all pining work around long paper. All yet utilize him sawe blong all. All can work in business long all yet na all can grow na you go instead all can put in pressure lo you me all sit down day and night lo Facebook na only talk all some you mean no create him a opportunity long all kiss him employment. That's all you check him good all get that training that related to business na commerce na all this plan. Amas fla blong all only create him na give him training long all yet he can get up na give him train work him or start him business long all yet na all he can grow na go. This all unemployment issues just come recently, that's all. For some reasons. Some also more finishing big institution, na kind of same almost too. Suppose you got work, you come down all get that. You can work security, you can work cleaner, all work here. You can make him. Me stop so matin na me clean him kuchi vausik. Long holiday time blow me because me need him money. All this plan. Me stop school na me. Grow him kau belum yet na ko salim again because Mr. Sim 20 again every term. Papa is how I give him. No na blo pain him because push ya. Ba him la salim lo one map. Simple at work me bla come. Today all unemployment through unemployment stop. That's all. Simple all you can utilize him. Sawi blong all na make him all arab la way long. All can grow. That's all you know make him. Even you give him money him no got. All by finishing nothing. Ungut me make him sample example and by every kilometer sol. Also, tribal money sample all power na mama you give him long all he can grow him. All drink here. You go to university na colleges. Every weekend also maten drink naraka in street. Naraka in street. All kisim money long governor. All go kisim money gain long member. All can go buy money gain long president. Only go painim lo ango line blong all, papa line blong all tin through needing money. They are the richest students we have in some of the colleges. Some or few of the students are rich people because all collecting long all get up. Okay, sampla also mipla stablo narapla province all kisim you go long electorate all kisim again. You must cross check lo this plan. At least you mean like help him good tasolem sampla. Lo display way mi bla paine me meeting mi good la long. You me can look na kind of sem. That's a lot of us sem big ground stuff. Open up agriculture colleges. Talking more man married long. I all young girls and boys long farming. Lo confirm you make at agriculture college upgrade him na improve him na. Put him all plant your somate you go long up. All Arabla vocational schools, also Patima, also Mogul Bank, all need proper funding. So you can put them all more school leavers, grade 10 leavers, 12 leavers. All you can go and make him display work. No got them, all got them by Kamna, work him extension lo university na, extension long kind college na. All by talk, me got paper, me no got work na, all by still after the mumina, Hagoli mumina kind something also. Okay, last, before me, finish him 3 minutes. Rural urban migration and me big plateau. All get towns blow you me. Hagen you come all get a lo Jiwaga you come lo Chimbu you come lo all man me talking you 7 days a week. Meeting also all sleep get up long up. Car no got space, man no got space. So you me any trouble or any problem come up inside long all towns blow you me. 1, 2 that's all and big plat destroyed by come up. Because overcrowded street. You may need long time to check him or why now all the travel also more. You may can split him. Kind of say, Mipla need him one bla BSP bank long Juwaka, and by help him. Lo Mipla no can you want up long Hagin. Or Larabla something you can make him long. You can cut him all man. Or sampla all same line or stop or town or grad time him. All police can check him and ask him all. All got one him walk now, only come. Only can check him all. Inside lo pocket long only got knife stop. Only got spanner stop. Only got bolkata stop. All got something all same now all run. Long anda ave mino stop ta solo. Ngoroka town him. Also calling me daddy boss na me go come there all by have him set or sampla legally have me look him. All sampla run one time. Sampla or something they're expecting anything could happen. They want to jump in. Now you can look all this plan. Now you can look him because otherwise all this plan all every like come up and by another kind straight now. Finally at least you may now make him connect PNC and help him now. Road by come up good. Now all man must walk. Some all pre and outs now. Some all policy you may make him maybe into the future you may can look now. Give him more work all man so that all must stop learn long all na produce him or something. Otherwise you may take care long all got something now all by no got work na all by run na move become lo town na find opportunity round na road them by stop you go on and that's by get up. Good pla road me work him tasol. Economy by not have grow because everyone will become lazy people, drug people. Na kind of same so. Click. Me mark thank you.
The Honorable Member of Banimo Green.
Minister for Internal Security for a very comprehensive ministerial statement and a clear pathway in the reforms in the police force and the correctional services institution. It demonstrates clearly the Marape Rosso government's seriousness in addressing law and order issue in our country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to contribute in the during this debate. In the March debated 918 million loan from IMF or 3.25 billion. Now let me firstly say on outset that whatever decision or decisions that we make as a government, we must never or we must not surrender our sovereign rights. We must never. I believe firmly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the style and system of government and the type of society that our founding fathers envisioned in the foundation of our foundation document, the National Constitution. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I fought on Bougainville against our own brothers in the Bougainville Civil War. At a certain point, when I felt that our sovereign responsibilities of our defense force was transferred to foreign mercenaries, I took up arms and repelled the foreign mercenaries from our country. I am now compelled, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to declare that we must not surrender our sovereign rights and entrust it or trust it in any foreign body. Economic management of our country, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is the sovereign right. The right to determine our political and economic destiny is the very thing we decided when we called for and were granted independence in 16 September 1975. We must not surrender the management of our economy to the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, or any coalition of bilateral or multilateral partners, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This is morally reprehensible, or morally wrong. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I must caution our government and our country. The current IMF staff assistance program and structural benchmarks are the first steps towards surrendering those basic rights of our country. As I can see in the quantitative performance criteria, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the indicative targets and the structural benchmarks under the proposed IMF program, our government is held to ransom, almost at ransom. For instance, the Treasurer has told us the first disbursement of the funds for 310 million kina will be this month, but the second will probably be in 2024. While reforms and structural adjustments are needed, why does Papua New Guinea government require outside assistance to perform a function that is sovereign to us? It is our sovereign duty. Though we refine policies, through refined policies, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and operating within the confines of existing legislation, the government has so many options to overcome current problems. The first is to live within our means. If we collect only 12 billion in internal revenue, why is our expenditure budget at 24 billion? That is living beyond our means. If we import more than we export, that is living beyond our means. Socioeconomic problems are unavoidable facts faced by every government. We must manage those problems ourselves, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Our people have lived for thousands of years without any outside assistance. The majority of our population live in rural areas depending on self-employment and subsistence agriculture. Mr. Speaker, we must not introduce dependency on aid, loans, but rely on trade and self-reliance in our country. We must inculcate, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in our people a habit of self-reliance, independence, and hard work. We have not tested whether or not yams from Trobriand Islands, sago from the Pacific, banana from Makam, cacao from Agen, and fish and coconuts from the coast can be traded to the islands and to the coastal areas. Government must direct investment in enabling infrastructures, such as energy transformation and transport transformation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I say direct investment, why don't we now start rehabilitating our coconut plantations, our coffee plantations, our cacao plantations? Before many extractive industries in our country were introduced, our budget was reliant on the agricultural sector. The Prime Minister has got a very good policy directions. We need to just pick it up from there and drive it. Economy is here in the country. We do not need to go outside of the country to borrow. We just need 3 interventional projects in the agricultural sector. And you will see how economy of our country will thrive. These are the springboards of our economy. Government must now direct investment in enabling infrastructure. We need to design the entry points in our government policies, and we guide it. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our government can therefore better utilize grants and concessional loans into those areas. For example, the state has back-in rights in mineral sector. If we design a policy approach to aggregate 30% of our take in the mining sector, we do not need to go out and bring a Tukina company to come and refine our gold. We utilize our 30%. The government of Papua New Guinea has enough money and we can build our own gold refinery and gold bullion in the country. We do not need to go outside. We have the provisions within our laws. Why don't we access the 30% in the mineral sector and refine our own gold? We have money in KPH, Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited. We have money in KCH, in the SOEs. Assign one of the entities within the SOE, maybe in the mining department, to build our own gold refinery. We bring a Tukina company and we have to finance them, give them 10 million kina to come and build our refinery. We got to do away with that. In the forestry sector, there is provision in the Forestry Act for state purchase option of 25% of our raw material. We can downstream it through state marketing agency. This is where our economy is. The economy is within our country. We have money within our country. We just need to touch it and press the right button, Mr. Deputy Speaker. In the hydrocarbon industry, we have option of 24.5%. Why don't we say to the multinational companies that we want our own oil and gas and we refine it also? Mr. Deputy Speaker, IMF and the World Bank, through their structural adjustment programs around the world, have held every country at ransom, and they are still paying their loans today. We make one mistake, this country is going to go into receivership, and we're already making that mistake by taking that step. I debated during the budget time last year that Treasurer made big mistake by increasing 70% tax to the log export levies. This is one of the worst decisions the Treasurer has made by going to IMF and bringing this money on board. Trust me today, put this time down on your diary that Papua New Guinea will go into receivership by getting this 918 million or 3.25 billion. We will be at the ends of the IMF and World Bank, and we will not move because they will control us. Mr. Deputy Speaker, these are real words for us to sink it down in our hearts and in our minds that this will come reality. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Your 10 minutes has lapsed. I will recognize the Governor for Western Highlands.
Thank you, the Deputy Speaker. I want to make some statements regarding the presentation of the Security Minister. I want to thank you to the Minister for Police, Security Minister, for very, very good brief for what some of the steps is going to take to improve the police force in the country that we'll all support. And so far, there are some improvements in the police. My province, Western Highlands province, already I have BBC and the police on the ground. They are doing a lot of work on the ground. And I want to thank you and your deputies and your senior, the commissioner and the police department. As this government has budgeted so much money for the police to combat law and order in Papua New Guinea. I just basically want to touch on the security companies. Some of the laws that you will pass, you said about in your statement about the security companies. For security companies in Papua New Guinea, this Security Industries Act came into play. They passed this law in 2004, which took effect in 2006. As you all know, I think many of the members of parliament, you own security companies. And I own a security company. My security company was started in 86. It's about 40 years I've been doing this security company. And it's one of the oldest security companies in Papua New Guinea. And I've lived with these security companies up till now. And some of the, I always ask this question to myself about the Security Industries Act that is a body that is supposed to regulate between the police department and the security companies. So as we all know, Papua New Guinea now, we're talking about the workforce. The security companies in Papua New Guinea holds the biggest workforce in the country. My Honorable Minister, as you've said here, we've got about 29,000 security guards in Papua New Guinea. That is not correct. I think security companies in Papua New Guinea is more than that number. We are probably 50,000 or 60,000. Probably the number, I think, could triple this number, because most of the security companies in Papua New Guinea operating now, you don't have records. There are security companies in Papua New Guinea operating every day like mushrooms, which your regulatory body here does not know about this. So this, the Security Industries Authority will need to seriously look into this. So I think that is now comes under the police commissioner. So it's a body that those of us security companies who are properly operating, we pay so much fees for the individual security guards to operate. And at the same time, so many security companies who are operating, how they are coming up to register their companies, this authority does not know to. So this parliament now, the laws that you will put in to improve the security industries, and that's a body where you can make a lot of money too. So I think it's good that you've identified that. But this body has to work between the properly security companies who are organized and those ones who wanted to do it too. They have to organize properly to do security business in Papua New Guinea. And we have a couple of foreign companies here, and we have local companies here who are doing it properly. But security companies now, they are the front lines where they're always working in line with the police to uphold law and order. And the work of law and order in Papua New Guinea now, security companies are taking the lead to help the police to enforce law and order in Papua New Guinea. So along that line, I think we will need to, I need to talk to you sometimes to advise you of how best we can frame up some laws that can help all of us, for police, for security companies, and all of us. So thank you for at least bringing up some of this. It's been there for so long. Someone passed this law, but they never looked at this properly and regulated. So thank you.
Honorable members, our grievance debate time slept. The question is that the grievance debate be noted. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The Honorable Minister for Forest. Sorry, Honorable Minister for Works.
Deputy Speaker, before I join the rushing of the Parliament, Mr. Speaker, let me thank Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament at its rising adjourn until Tuesday, 6th June 2023 at 2 o'clock p.m. 2 o'clock p.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me take this time to thank all the honorable members for the last 2 weeks. You have been on time. All the members who have been punctuality, everybody who have been here. This is the last day. And let me thank you all for your time. We are here to save our people and save this country. And let me thank you all. And today is the last day. And the Parliament has adjourned to Tuesday, 2 p.m., 6th June. So, wish you all the best. Good luck. Now I join the Parliament. I move that. I move that the Parliament now do adjourn.
Honorable members, I now adjourn. Honorable members, the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honorable members, I now adjourn Parliament until Tuesday, 6 June 2023 at 2 o'clock p.m.